So, Mark, did you see that jackpot on the 10-play machine? $1,250 a hand. But boy, did they get the dream deal. 500 grand. How about that?
I mean, if you're betting 12.50 a hand, maybe it's just sticking out of a hole. That's a massive amount. And what I've learned from doing this show and following Vegas Twitter is there's a whole lot of people out there that have a ton more money than me.
Seriously. Well, happy Friday, Mark. You're back from Bermuda. We're going to talk all about that next week on the travel show. As a reminder, we do have a whole travel show teaching people how to use miles and points, also discussing all of our non-Vegas related travel. So look for that on our other channel. But speaking of money, Mark, Downtown Grand, they ain't got no money. They need some $1,250 a spin people to come in and save them, because we learned this week that they are in receivership. I should say, I think Vital Vegas has been covering this for a month or two, and then the Review Journal finally confirmed it this week. So they've been in receivership since January, defaulted on a $90 million construction loan. The company that bought it basically has lost their entire investment. And remember, we were talking about Rolling Stone perhaps taking over Downtown Grand, and that fell through. And the old lady, somebody needs to buy it and turn it back into Lady Luck.
Yeah, I was really sad that I never got to see Lady Luck. I think it closed like 6 months before we made our first trip out there. And I'd seen it on Travel Channel and stuff like that. So I always really wanted to check it out, like a classic old school Vegas casino, and never got to do it. And I've always had a soft spot for the Downtown Grand, but I still don't go there that much. The location's a bit off of Fremont, so it's not really the most accessible casino. And they just really haven't done enough to draw you in, even though it feels pretty nice and the pool area looks cool. It just, I don't know. They've never really found their wavelength or connected with people in a way. I know they tried to be like a younger, hipper type of setup, but they just never did it. Maybe they need to have more promos, better room deals. They never got the young people to go there, I don't feel like.
Yeah, I think that they need to take a page out of El Cortez playbook and start dealing with influencers, because that really helped El Cortez draw people off of the Fremont Street experience. And even though it's really just a block, it seems like it's so difficult to get people to go over there. I mean, even I don't go over there all that often when I'm going off Fremont Street. I do like Downtown Grand. I think the casino could use something else. Remember, in 2020, they opened the Gallery Tower, so they expanded the property, which probably wasn't the smartest thing. The Gallery Tower room's very nice. As you said, they have a very good pool, especially considering you're downtown, and maybe Golden Nugget and Circus pools are better, but it ranks up there pretty highly. And yeah, there's just, I don't know. How do you save this property? But I think Lady Luck is a better name. I hate to say it. I think Lady Luck is a better name. Whoever buys it should do that.
Well, I mean, they're going to get a deal on it. So that's number one. When you turn things around, if you buy it for a fraction of what it was built for, or the addition was added to. But yeah, they should have never done that extra tower. I'm sure that sunk them into a hole they couldn't dig out of. But this is coming out of the most profitable time in Vegas history as far as like gambling and all of that type of stuff. So the fact that they couldn't even pay the bills then is kind of scary going forward.
And if it wasn't for Pizza Rock and other things like Hogs and Heifers, some of these businesses that have been over there over the years to draw people in with followings, I don't even know if it would be doing as well as it has, because that's been the one success, is those restaurants that are sort of across the street.
Yeah, and they kicked out Hogs and Heifers, who had been paying rent for how long now? Didn't it make sense then? Sure as heck doesn't make sense now.
This quick break is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. If you haven't heard of it, a VPN creates a private, encrypted connection between your device and the internet, so nobody else on the same network can see what you're doing. If you spent any real time in Vegas, you know casino cell service is sort of a disaster. The buildings are enormous, signal just dies, so you end up on casino Wi-Fi or hotel Wi-Fi, which is an open shared network with a lot of strangers on it. You're checking your casino loyalty accounts, your bank, whatever. Not ideal. Surfshark encrypts your connection so your data stays private, even on those networks. It also keeps your streaming library the same, whether you're in Vegas or not. Land somewhere and your shows are geo-blocked. Surfshark fixes that. They also have Surfshark Alert, which monitors your email and credit cards for data breaches and sends you a notification if your info gets leaked. One subscription, unlimited devices. Go to surfshark.com/MTM Vegas or use code MTM Vegas at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN, 30-day money-back guarantee, 0 risk. Link and code down in the description. Well, what also doesn't make sense, Mark, is a temporary casino on a ballpark site, but that is exactly what we have in Las Vegas. I talked about it a little bit briefly on Wednesday's show, and for people who haven't seen that, I did a whole review of my stay at the Four Seasons Las Vegas.
Overrated.
Yeah, I gave my nuanced thoughts on the last show. I would say I don't think it's overrated, Mark. I think it delivers on what you would expect from a Four Seasons experience. It's just that I would rather go somewhere like Wynn, or the most comparable I'd say would be Waldorf Astoria. And with the location, I would pick that room probably all the time. But if you want to stay at Mandalay Bay and you want a super luxury hotel, you've stayed there. I think the Four Seasons delivers fine. The room is decent, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I just don't think there's that much for the premium you're paying. I mean, you have the little quieter pool, slightly easier check-in. It just doesn't feel like a full resort for that price. I'd rather stay at the W myself.
Yeah, and the location may be a little bit better of the W, but go check out the room videos, all of that on Wednesday's show. But after checking out there, I went over to the Bally's temporary casino, or the Tropicana temporary casino. I don't know what we're calling it. And it's crazy because they have parking there. So you actually turn into a construction gate on the ballpark site. And then there's all the construction trailers and all of that. And then one of those trailers is a temporary casino. And so you can park there and you go inside. They have all these old school 3-reel slots, and there's no ticket in, ticket out, no nothing like that. Everything's a hand pay when you cash out. And our first spin, Jasmine, 50-cent bet, won $30, got the sevens. You almost never get the sevens.
At least, does the hand pay come quickly because there's like nobody there?
It was 45. No, I'm just kidding. No, it took just a minute to get us the money. And the lady, I asked her like who she works for. Obviously, she works for Bally's, but she came from Lake Tahoe, came down for a few days from the Bally's up there, the former Mont Bleu. And yeah, so I thought it was a really neat experience. There wasn't anybody in there when we were there, and everybody was super friendly, like 4 employees there, very welcoming. There's no signs. They clearly didn't care about having people come and actually do this. This is to keep the license active for the Bally's Tropicana site. But you got to get so close over to the ballpark construction. And when we were leaving, a construction worker kind of stumbled in and he's like, "Is this open? Can I play here?" So I think it's construction workers and Vegas Twitter that is all over this.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they wouldn't promote it because it's unique, something different. You can say you were there before it was built, and it's not like they can't use the money. So I'm surprised if you're paying 4 people to stand around and do nothing. You think you'd want to at least make enough money to cover that cost, but I know that's small pittance compared to what they are supposed to be spending on this future project. But it's kind of unique, and I said it on Twitter. I think it looks like a Dottie's, just without the booze bottles for sale.
Yeah, I mean, some other people said on Twitter that this is the future of Bally's casinos. This is what they're all going to look like because they don't have any money. But I want to just emphasize how friendly they were in there and how neat it was to pull in there. If you can't, it's already closed now, but just be able to pull into the construction site and be so close to the action of that stadium. And I talked on Wednesday's show, we're up to 4 stories of steel. It really is starting to look like a stadium.
Yeah, that stinks that it's not open for longer. I mean, why not? Like, it'd be kind of unique to have there, but probably gets in the way of the construction and everything. And we'll have to see if they bring it back before they start building other things. So I'm glad you got to take advantage of it. And then when you see the pictures and the video that you had walking into it, you can see how much grander it looks, that they're getting the ballpark moving along. And it seems like it's going to be ready to go, just nothing around it.
Yeah, and I talked about how cool it is. We're getting these new views. I had my view from the Four Seasons down the Strip, got to see the ballpark, MGM Grand, a few weeks ago. And with the guitar in the ballpark, views are changing in Las Vegas. Very exciting stuff. In a minute, I'm going to talk about taking your kid to their first Zoox ride. But before I do that, I'd love to invite you to subscribe. Thousands of you are watching the show who aren't subscribed. It's free. Just hit that button in YouTube. Helps us out a lot. But Mark, you know what they say, you never forget your first Zoox. And I finally got to take my daughter, and she absolutely loved it. So I just wanted to put this out there because kids, they don't care. They're not scared about being in a driverless car. They just think it's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that's the joy of not having that prefrontal cortex fully developed. You don't know when you're in danger.
I guess the camera, she was just fascinated with it, obviously playing with the music and all of that. She's been asking forever, so we got to do that. We had her birthday dinner over at the Gaucho over at Fashion Show Mall, and I'm a terrible influencer. This is Brazilian steakhouse. I think it's like $77 for dinner for adults, so a little bit higher than some of the other ones, but the quality was really good, and they didn't do what they do at a lot of these places and sort of hide the good quality meats and not come around. So I like that, and it's on Resi as well if you have credits. So that's what they do, Mark. They'll have these good cuts of meat, and then you never see the guy with the good meat.
He's just like standing in the back, sitting next to it, or
yeah, they just keep bringing out the cheap sirloin until you fill up on it, and then every once in a while the ribeye guy will come about. That didn't happen here. Anyway, no video to show you of that, but it is recommended. I would say absolutely go there if it makes sense, and if you have Resi credits, even better. But also this week, I took Zoox from Wynn with her down to Excalibur, and then we took the tram to Mandalay. I got to ride that twice this week. It's so nice to be doing that. But I wanted to give a report on the moving walkway at Excalibur. I was there twice this week. It was working once, not working once. 1 for 2 is pretty good.
Sounds about average.
And then I had to teach my daughter patience, right? Because when you're riding the walkway at Excalibur, you have to wait. You just stand and you enjoy the ride. You definitely don't start walking.
What? Why?
You got to let it all unfold in front of you. As you
Because
get
it could be the
into
last
this,
time.
it's like a 12-minute journey from the sidewalk into the casino, and you have to enjoy every minute of it. It's going to be gone at some point soon, Mark.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you really want to soak it in, but she's probably like, no, give me to the arcade games. Let's go.
Now I'm like, no, wait for it. Anyway, good times on the strip with my little one. Happy 11th birthday to her. So off strip now, real Brandon of Vegas. I come across his stuff every once in a while, and every time I see him talk about food, this dude knows what he's talking about. And he talked about 10 places in Vegas to go to. And we've talked about some of his other videos before, but he nails it. If you're looking for off strip, for things that locals do, and also suggestions, like he's not just going to tell you to go somewhere. He's going to actually tell you what to eat there. And some really interesting places like Herbs and Rye that people know, but also places like Johnny Mac's, who's famous for a long time for their chicken wings that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the list. There was several locations that I've never heard of or known about. So, and the La Thai place, our buddy David said that was his favorite Thai place in the area. So I've been wanting to check that out. It smells delicious every time I walk by there. So that's high on my list. So I was happy to see it come in. I think it was like number 4 on his list.
Yeah, he has great diversity here too. His pick is Jesse Ray's Barbecue if you want to do barbecue, but just a great sort of list here. And he does this food content very well, and I wanted to give him a shout out there. But Johnny Mac's, number 10 on his list, they do have really good chicken wings, except it's near where Pauly C's taco shop used to be, all the way out on Boulder Highway. So I guess if you're going to Lake Las Vegas, maybe that's the place to go, but it's not very close to much.
I didn't know Las Vegas had their own style of barbecue until that video. Is that a thing?
Of course it's a thing. If we don't have it, we make it up. That's how Las Vegas does it. Come on now. Another famous Vegas institution is Freed's Bakery, and they have really good baked stuff, great cupcakes, great cakes. If you want an elevated sort of dessert, Freed's is really good for that. And I guess they have an ATM now at the Las Vegas airport, so people flying in and out can now try Freed's Bakery. And I think Las Vegas Foodie is the one who we saw cover this. Is it better than Buddy's cake that was baked 5 days ago and sitting there forever? I don't know.
No, it looks like really cool. And when she opens it up, it looks pretty fresh and delicious, colorful, all those types of things. I'm glad my daughter hasn't seen it or we haven't flown through Vegas because I would be broke and all the cakes she would want to buy.
It reminds me of like the cupcake ATM, which I think is now gone at Link. And that was like, 10, 12 years ago? It's a long time ago. And I think it was like the first one in Vegas. And everyone went nuts for that cupcake ATM. There would be like a line. And then you could just walk inside and buy a cupcake that was probably fresher. But no, you had to go wait in the line for the cupcake. I did it myself. It was like $8 or something back then. It was ridiculous. But yeah, there you go.
That's like those pizza vending machines where they make the pizza in front of you. I did that knowing it was probably going to be horrible. It was not great, but it was still kind of cool to see.
I think there was some video this week of Buddy Valastro on the strip eating his own pizza. So there is a good recommendation. I guess he's at least endorsing his own product.
Does he spit out the food after the camera turns off like Giada does?
The big question was, where did the pizza come from? Was it from the vending machine? And Mark, you just got back, but you made a stop at Resorts World, New York City. I'm really interested to hear your take on it. As a reminder, I stayed there, a year ago or so, but at the hotel, but I got there too late and the casino was closed and I couldn't get into the casino. And so I know what the lobby looks like and the big circular area and all of that, but I guess you had some interesting, quirky things happen in that casino.
Yeah, it was a little bit unexpected. The hotel attached to it's very nice. They played the Vegas games where they wanted to charge me $100 to check in early. That was at noon. So we walked down the street and grabbed some pizza at a local place and came back and found a different front desk agent and was able to get into the rooms at 2 p.m. So if you don't succeed with one, wait till they go on break or leave to go to the bathroom and then hop on and talk to the other person. But yeah, the casino, couple of unique things that I was kind of surprised by. I didn't see any table games anywhere, which might be a part of the laws there. They had pits though, like European Baccarat pit, Blackjack pit, but it was all video table games. So they had all these different like pits, like you'd see like craps over here, and you would go and there'd just be all these craps machines. There was no table games anywhere, which I found surprising. The other really weird thing was there was only 2 places that I could find that you could get a drink at. I didn't really notice any servers walking around the entire time I was there. I'm sure there are some, but there's like a hole in the wall that looks like a server type of place that you go, but you order drinks from there. And then there's the center bar, which is actually pretty nice, but that's it. And the second floor was closed down. It looks like there's a bar up there. I think they're waiting to get more license approval to open that up. They're hoping to do it this summer, she said. And there was like a club up there, but that was closed too. So I don't know. It feels kind of like a work in progress casino, even though it's been there for a while.
Yeah, they just got approval, remember, to build the actual sort of expansion and to do the full license and all that. So I don't know what the technicalities are between what they can do now as like a racetrack casino and what it'll be under the full license, but a lot of stuff changing there. But that picture of that little hole in the wall, that little drink cubby thing that you have to go to is the saddest thing I've ever seen. It's like crazy. What are they doing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm like, there's actually people lining up. I thought it was just where servers would go to get restocked. And nope, there was people lining up and ordering drinks. I'm like, this is, you couldn't make this look a little bit nicer. It was crazy. And they had like a 1 drink per ID sign on the wall. I don't think they're really enforcing that up at the bar, but that's kind of weird and annoying too. Like if you want to go grab a drink for you and your friend because they're playing, you can't deal with that. And then they had like this weird seating area that was roped off. That was like a couch area, but there was nothing around it. And it was just kind of there right by the European roulette pit. It just didn't make sense. It was kind of hodgepodge. But there was also this baccarat room on the second floor that was outside of security. They didn't have anybody there checking IDs. And we walked in. I got a quick video. I didn't want to get yelled at. I have no clue what that setup is, how they're working their way around it. But it was like a little gambling den that was outside of the casino.
There's just something about New York and New Yorkers and everything that mixes interesting in the world of casinos. I'll just say that based on my time there on a Saturday night, it drew a very interesting crowd. And I'm sure that they have a lot of fun stuff to deal with there. But this is going to be one of the 3 main casinos when it fully gets built out. I'm sure you saw the model in the lobby of what it's all going to look like. And yeah, I mean, Resorts World, a bigger player, bigger and bigger every single year, as much as we talk about their struggles here. This is also a good reminder why you should go to casinos in other places, because it's always fun to see how different they are.
Yeah, and this one, like I said, is probably the most unique casino I've been to in the U.S.
So one of the biggest complaints about Las Vegas since 2020, but I think even before that, has been inflation, price inflation, things changing, minimum bets going up, more zeros getting added to the roulette tables, whatever you can do to stack it in the house's favor, you're doing it. And that is evident, I think, every time we all go to Las Vegas or go to a casino. But John Maffei does the data, right? He's always tracking all of these casinos. He does his walks every so often where he goes and he sees what games they have, what minimums they have. And that's why Vegas Advantage is such a great resource. But he did some number crunching, and this is a little depressing to kind of see how things have changed. Las Vegas table game minimums since 2020. Let's just start here. They're up 76% across the board since 2020. That's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're talking 2015. We're talking since COVID, which is kind of crazy. And I mean, everything's gone up since COVID, but you wouldn't think table games minimums would jump up that much.
Yeah, as Mahaffey points out, 25.6% is the inflation rate over the same period. And so 75.71% increase. So it's basically threefold what inflation is. So some other interesting stats, only 12 of the 63 casinos fell below the inflation rate. Only 2 casinos decreased their minimums. 3 kept the same posted limits. The average increase the average increase was 76%, basically. Median was 77%. But 30% of Las Vegas casinos have at least doubled table game minimums since 2020. But I want it to look like downtown, because if we look downtown, that's the worst market, up 115% on average, meaning that the minimum bet has more than doubled since 2020 downtown. And if we look at the biggest offenders, California, pretty bad with Boyd, Fremont too, Main Street Station, so those are all Boyd. But at the very top is El Cortez, 353%. Welcome slot influencer effect.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a part of it. It's more popular, so they can charge a bit more. And I think they've put a lot of money and effort into making it a better product there. So I think that goes along with it too. You wouldn't expect it to be that much of an increase, but they were starting so low. So I feel like some of that is a little bit unfair. If you had $5 table games before, if you just go to 10, that's 100% increase. So kind of skews the numbers a little bit. I wouldn't have expected to see it that high. I wouldn't think El Cortez would have been the worst offender. But I do remember playing $5 blackjack there years and years ago.
Yeah, it says a lot about what El Cortez was and then what it has become. And as you said, they expanded and they spent all this money, and then they've had all the success with the influencer stuff. And so I think it's a success story, but that does mean they have higher dollar gamblers in there, and they're going to be sort of catering to them. Golden Nuggets, the least at 33%. And I think that sort of reinforces what you said. They probably already had higher minimums, given that they were the fanciest place down there. This is, Circa's not on this list because it wasn't open. But Boyd has also spent a ton of money downtown on California and Fremont in the last few years. And so that's not really surprising there. Main Street Station, I mean, they're often struggling. Their pit is closed most of the time. So maybe they should go back to $5 minimums.
I do wonder like how much the video blackjack is played into this, and them having all those video pits and things like that. Like those are where the lower bet minimums went to. So they're like, hey, we have the $5 blackjack over there, or $3 blackjack, whatever it is, whatever the min set on those the video machines. So we're not going to do that at the table games too, even though it's a totally different experience. It doesn't feel right, and they're reshuffling every single deal, I think, on those games. So a lot of people don't like them, and the odds are usually worse. They don't always give you like what you deserve on blackjacks, things like that. But I do think that plays a role into this. They're like, all right, we'll jack up the table games. We'll put more of these video games in for the people that don't want to do $25 a bet.
Yeah, absolutely. And so things are changing. So if you've noticed going to a casino that things are more expensive, then let us know down below, because this points it out. And I think that's why having people like John Mahaffey track all of the data to show you how casinos are changing is really important. And casinos are changing. They're still trying to take your money. They're just trying to take it faster than ever before. And I don't think there's any dispute in that.
Yeah, that's why Oyo needs more love. Show it the respect.
Gives Oyo some love. Don't go to the temporary casino next door. Go over to Oyo. But let us know what you think about anything we talked about today. The temporary casino, my first spin Johnson, $30, baby. And we left up $20 at the temporary casino mark. So there you go. Brandon's suggestions for food. Freed's Bakery, do you like it? Do you want to go to the vending machine? Everything we talked about in this crazy show, leave a comment. We do 3 shows a week. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Do you also think Resorts World is the weirdest casino in the country? Let me know. Have a good weekend, everybody.